Hello and welcome to everybody on Cloud Fitness. So in today's video, we are going to solve a LeetCode problem, and which is basically an STR problem. I will actually show you what the problem is all about and we are going to solve it. Also, I'm going to leave the link in the description box so that you can also go ahead and practice the same problem. So directly, I'll just move to the LeetCode website. And you can see this is how the problem looks like, and this is the problem which we are going to solve today. So of course you can choose any language of your choice. If you are more comfortable in any other language, please do go ahead and choose that language. So I'm going to use Python over here. Now coming on to this particular question, this is a very commonly asked interview question. Now in this question, if you see, there is an input given to you which is called a haystack, which is nothing but a string. So you will be given a string named as haystack. So in this case, the string is hello, right? Now, and you will also be given another string which is a needle, and here the needle is also a string which is double L. What essentially you need to give as an output is the first index of occurrence of this needle in the haystack. So the needle is double L. So in hello, at what index is double L present, right? That index you need to show here. So the first index 0 is H, right? And index 1 is E. Index 2 is L, right? At index 2, you can actually see that double L is present. But if you see the example number 2, right here, the haystack is this string and the needle is BBA, right? Now if you see, this needle is actually not present. Now in the cases when the needle is not present, you actually need to return -1. So this is how your problem looks like, and essentially you need to solve it, right? Now this is a very easy solution. If you use any kind of inbuilt functions in Python, it is a very easy problem. And in fact, you should know, let's say you write in your resume that you're working in Python, or you write that you are working in so and so language, you should at least know these basic functions so that you can straight away solve the problem. Now of course there will be multiple ways to solve this problem. In my case, I will be showing you two ways. One is an inbuilt function that we are going to use, which is going to solve this problem in just like one line, and another will be a little more elaborative answer. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we have this haystack and needle problem in front of us. The very first thing that we need to understand is we need to find the needle in the haystack, right? We need to find a needle in the haystack. If it is present, then give me the index. If it is not present, give me -1, right? So from this statement itself, you should understand that you can use .find function in Python. So Python has something called as .find. So this is a function which is present by default inbuilt function. What it does is, whatever string you have, right? Let's say here we have haystack as the string. Let me type in here haystack dot find. What we need to find? We need to find needle. Now what this find function will do? This find function will actually check whether in the haystack this needle is present or not. If present, it will give the index. If not present, it will just give -1. So this is the usage of .find function, built-in function in Python, right? So we can actually say simply return this, right? So we have a class. Inside that class we have a function. The function is str function, which takes two parameters, which is your haystack, which is a string, and it also takes another input, which is a needle, right? And the output it gives is integer. Integer is nothing but the index, right? Index for anything. In case you do not know, let me show you this, and let me say next, right? So n is always index 0, right? E is always index 1, x is always index 2, and t will always be called as index 3. So this is how indexing happens, right? And .find function will give you the index. Now let me do one thing. Let me just run this code, and we'll just see how it performs. After that, I'll just try to submit this code. Now you can see it worked fine. Now let me just submit this code and see how does it work. Okay, so you can see that it got accepted. Now let me do another thing. Let me go back, and now in this case we are going to implement the same solution using another approach. So it might happen that, okay, interviewer might want to understand the way you think or whether you know the basics, right? So he might say, okay, I don't want you to use dot find function, do it in some other way, right? Now in those scenarios, right, how you are going to do this, right? You can pause in for a minute. You can pause this video for a minute and just think what other way this problem can be implemented, right? Now basically I'll just start. So in this case what I can do is, right, essentially I need to find the needle inside the haystack. Now in this case what I can do, first of all, we need to understand is what find function was doing. The same thing we need to do, but we need to do it manually now, because we are not going to use any function. And you also need to make sure that, for example, this is L and L, right? Now this hello can also be written as HELO, let's say, right? And the needle can be double L. So you need to make sure that you give first occurrence of this double L, not just L, right? Remember this part. Here the answer should be -1, because the double L is not coming here. So you always need to make sure that this condition is very well satisfied. Now here essentially let's think of one particular scenario, right? Let's say you just have one word. Your haystack is A and your needle is also A, right? In this case it matches, right? In this case it matches. Correct? Your haystack is actually equal to your needle, so the index will always be 0 here, right? The index will always be 0. Now if we talk about this case, now in fact let me write it here so that you are more you understand it little better. So let's say your haystack is actually A and your needle is also equal to A. Now in this case, if you see, what will be the index, right? The index or the output will actually be 0, right? Now let us try to solve this particular part itself. Let's say if, so in this case we are simply going to use a if condition. If my haystack, which is input this to this function, is equal to needle, NEEDLE, if it is equal to needle, then simply what should you do? You should simply return the 0, right? Return me the 0, right? Otherwise we are going to solve it further, right? So your first condition is satisfied, right? Now in this case, in the other scenario, what you can do, you can simply, let's say you have to find needle inside the haystack, right? So let's see what is the length of the needle. So let me just put N equal to length of needle. So I have a variable where I'm keeping length of the needle, right? And I also have some variable defined, which is I equal to 0. I've defined some variable I equal to 0 to solve a problem like, let me just put it here again. So let's say haystack is A, B, B, C, and you need to find BB occurrence, right? So now this BB occurrence will essentially be at index 1. Right now in this case, what I'm going to check, right? If condition, fine. If it is satisfied, it is going to return 0. Else what can happen? Right now we are going to see, right, if the length of my haystack, right, is greater than the length of my needle, right? So if the length of my haystack is actually greater than the length of my needle, right, that is the only case you will be able to find it, right? So for example, now let me give you another scenario over here, right? What happens is, let's say my haystack is this and my needle is BCA, right? AA. Now in this case your index will be returned as -1, right? Because my needle, what you are trying to find over here, cannot be found here, because the haystack is actually, the length of haystack is very less, like it's less than the length of the needle, right? So this is also one scenario, right? Now to capture that, what you can do, you can add a while loop, right? While loop, in this while loop you can say that, hey, if the length of my needle, which I've taken N at the top, is less than or it is equal to right, if it is equal to my length of, let's say, haystack, right, if it is equal to the length of my haystack, then move ahead, right? Otherwise, what you should do, you should simply return return minus 1, right? Now we have satisfied two conditions over here, right? The first condition, this is satisfied, this last condition is satisfied, right? Now the problem lies with the middle part, right? I'm going very slow, I'm going step by step so that we understand it all, right? Now the condition is the second condition. Now in this condition, what I can say, that while length of my needle is less than or equal to length of my haystack, then what should I do? Then in that case, what can I do? I have to go and check it in the haystack, that whether my needle is present or not, right? Now for that, what I can do, I can actually use slicing, right? I can actually use slicing. I can actually say if haystack, right, if haystack, and let's say I say, you know, start from the first element of haystack. Now first element I, right, it starts from index 0. So for my haystack, the first element will be A here. Then start from the first element of the haystack and then go to the length, right? Go to N, go to the length of the needle and check whether it is equal to the needle. You know, whatever I'm saying, I'm simply typing it, right? If you see, I'm simply typing what I'm trying to explain you. Now, in this case, what I'm trying to do, in my haystack, I'm starting from my index 0. I have specified to 0. I'm starting from the first position and I am saying that take the first position and go till the length. Go till the length of the needle and check if that is equal to needle, right? If it is equal to needle, then fine, right? Then simply return. Then what you're going to do, then you're going to return, you know, the I is nothing but the index, right? Otherwise, what you can do, you can simply say that I am going to increment my I am going to increment my I plus equal to 1. I am going to increment my I. Now my I will not be 0, it will be B. It will start from B and again it will look for the length of the needle. Length of the needle over here is 2. It will again look for these two parts. It will look for BB and it will be equal to the needle, and then in that case, you know, it is going to increment the I. Now here let me just put the if condition. Now let me put this if condition and this, and here there will be an else part, right? And just let me do the proper indexing. Okay, so here you actually go. So this is how your actual answer should look like, right? Just give me a moment. Okay, so this is how your answer should look like, but it still has a problem. What problem it has? So if you look at this if condition, right, what it is doing, it is going to the haystack, it is starting from the ith position, right? So my I is equal to 0, right? It is going and starting from the ith position and then it is going till N, right? But when I am increasing this I plus, you know, when I am incrementing this I with plus 1, right, then in that case my N should also increase by I times, right? So it should always become N plus I, right? So for example, you know, if it starts from 0, right, it will go till 2, right? Now if it starts from 1, right, it has to go till 3, right? The index, you know, index should be incremented by N plus I over here. So this is how you can essentially implement this particular solution as well. Now if you see, now let me go and just try to reiterate it once what is happening here, right? So in the so we have three cases here. The first case is when, you know, index and haystack has only one element and both are equal, right? In that case the index will always be 0. So this is the first condition that satisfies. Then the second condition is the needle what you are trying to find, right, which is it is much longer than the length of haystack, right? Then of course it is very clear that you are not going to find it, right? So that is why you created this while loop, right? You can do it in multiple ways. You can add a if condition again here, right? So here you are checking while the length, right? You are actually checking the length of this haystack is less than n. The length of your needle is actually less than your haystack length. Then only move forward and check the second condition. Otherwise simply return me 1, because in case the length of my haystack is less than the needle, then of course I'm not going to find it, and it should return -1. And this second thing which we are trying to find out should come over here. So this is how we have actually implemented the solution. But remember one more thing over here. So the moment I say else I plus 1, right? The moment I say else I plus 1, it should still go and check this particular condition, right? It should still go and check this particular condition. So that is why here n should be n plus I. Now why did I do that? Because here again you need to check the rest of the length, right? You need to check the rest of the length, right? As per the incrementation of your I, you again have to check whether the length is of haystack is greater than the length that you are searching for, right? So you should always see that. So these are the 3 cases, and this is how these 3 cases can actually be implemented. Now the line number 8 is nothing but the indexing that you have done on the haystack, right? You are first going, if your haystack is hello, you are first going to index h, and then you are saying that go till the length of my needle, right? Go till the length of my needle, which is 2, right? Go till here and check. Then the length, if the length is 2, then you are only going till here, he, and you are checking, okay, LL is not present. So let me do one thing. Let me increment my I. Now the moment I increment my I am at E, right? Now when I am at E, again I am going to check whether needle LL is present till the length of the needle, which is 2, or not, EL. So it becomes EL and it is not present. Then again it goes and increments I, and it goes to L, right? It again checks the length of the needle, and it is able to find LL at the same position, right? Now my I was earlier 0, then it became 1, then it became 2, right? And it found the match, so it returned 2 over here. So this is how your solution actually works. So let me just run this particular code and show you how it has worked, right? So the moment I submit it, you can actually see that it has also worked. So I hope you like this particular solution. Do remember to even try it on your own, right? And you can also try it in some different way, and you can let me know in the comment section what kind of different solution you have tried it for. So thank you so much for being till here, and do remember to like, subscribe and share my channel.